All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Dire Bear Adventuring Company's Wednesday night presentation of Binary Heroes Brobots, or Brobots Binary Heroes. Title pending. Uh, on Monday, we had a little bit of a different feed. Instead of Foundations of Adelar, we want to thank the beautiful Maddie who did a character creation thing because um, I'm human. And believe it or not, I get ill despite trying to burn out like the brightest goddamn star I can find by just constantly going at a pace that a 40-something-year-old man should not be doing. So I found myself, despite my own best interest, being ill on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm actually I'm like I'm restored now. But I needed to recharge. So thanks to Maddie for picking up the reins and taking over things, and to everybody who tuned in, we appreciate it and we love you guys and thank you so much. Hopefully that won't happen for another time soon, but I do have children, so they are naturally just plague bearers in and amongst themselves. I think the four horsemen of the apocalypse, that pestilence, disease is going to be a small child on like a wooden horse, and it's just going to be a cloud of disease around them just riding this hobby horse.
Oh God.
Because what's more terrifying than that? As I am fond of saying, there is nothing more precious than the sound of a child's laughter. At least, except if you're home alone
And you
in the
don't
middle
have
of
a
the night
kid.
and you don't have any children. Then it's terrifying. So, anyways, but enough about terrifying children. Speaking of, Pet Cemetery is being remade, as is Child's Play. So if you're a fan of horror films, and especially with creepy childlike things, there you go. I uh, I was not a fan of the original Pet Cemetery, and I'm getting way off topic here for a second. I was not a fan of the original Pet Cemetery. I have a big heart, and watching that happen to a small person, it bothers me. I have two rules in horror movies: don't hurt the kids, don't kill the dogs, don't kill the pets, I should say.
Those are fair rules.
And as long as those two rules are adhered to, I'm okay. There are very few occasions where I will allow those to be broken, and that is if the kid is the antagonist or the pet is the antagonist, aka Cujo. Or if you ever watched Omen, the Hellhounds,
Where was
yeah,
where was the kid and the dog?
where it was the kids and the dogs. Get rid of all of them. But anyways, that has nothing to do with robots, and everything to do with my own tortured mind in the movies that I like to watch. I want to thank, as always, V for being here with us, Maddie for being here. We have Jason and Atlas with us. So thank you guys for showing up, and appreciate everybody in the High Bear Nation for the well wishing and the thoughts while I was down ill. But we are back up and running, and when last we left off, jumping right into it with no aplomb, just like stepping off into it up to the knee. We left the party in the care of a dapperly dressed robot
That's poor parenting.
by the by the name of Cerberus 6, who had called himself what? Pretentious name?
Shadow.
Shadow.
Fucking edgelord.
He went from one to another.
Find my notebook. This is a problem.
Keep looking for it. It'll turn up. Oh gosh, my computer is like, I don't want to type this out. The party was rescued from what was clearly an ambush by this dapper and well enunciated. I don't know. He had a fancy accent. Robot who crashed a train into a security officer. Bit excessive. Said he'd always wanted to do that, and then led the party to. I mean, really, who hasn't wanted to plow a train into a robot? I mean, Transformers right there. So we had the party led to a safe house in an alleyway. And I say safe house in that the alley was a dead end and the safe house was a
live
door,
end.
a door that opened up. they stepped into another like workstation safe house with Cerberus 6 introducing himself. And that's what we're going to pick up. Long hallway opens up into a large room. You can see tables, steel top tables here and there, all sorts of utilities, very, very, very similar to a workstation that Zachary would have spent time at. Tools are all neatly placed away in their proper places. Everything is labeled properly. In the room, along with all the accoutrement and the tools and things like that, are two other robots. Actually, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. There are three other robots. Two of them look exactly like Cerberus 6. The only difference is a small plate of color that comes across like their shoulders.
It's Cerberus like the dog.
Cerberus 6 walks into the room. Allow me to introduce you to my fellow Cerberus units. That is number 9, and that's number 15. To which you watch as 9 and 15 both kind of tilt their head at an odd angle, and both of them look at Cerberus 6 and go, why are you doing that with your voice box? He tucks a head behind his head for a moment and says, I wanted to put them at ease, and I thought that that would be a better accent to use than my own, and it makes me look smarter. They both tilt their head back to the other direction and go,
You thought sounding like a
Not
imperialist asshole was gonna make you sound safer. Like, you know what the British did, right? We're on the same page there, right?
They both look at 9 and 15, look at each other, and then look back at 6, and they're like, welcome back. Are these the ones that we were told about? He nods his head emphatically. Excellent. The fourth, or now the fourth robot in the room, does not look anything like the other three. He is of a smaller, slender build. Actually, now that you look at him, he looks very much like Zachary.
Handsome devil.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
You say handsome devil. Not exactly. There is. He turns and adjusts what are clearly not needed. They appear to be like flattened across the top edge and then round at the bottom like bifocals. He kind of smiles as he sees you. You can tell he's an older, like the precursor model for yours. He smiles. He doesn't have a face, but you can see that his expression lightens up as he sees you, notices the stethoscope, and says, I see that's something that they didn't get out of our unit. The need for human affectations. I'm glad to see it gives us a more softened appearance. He takes the glasses and hangs them around the loop that's around his neck. He's also wearing a lab coat.
That's really what we've got in common.
That's why he looks like you. All robots look alike. It's the lab coat and the different glasses. It's a disguise.
But does he have the receding middle hairline?
Not. It's the widow's peak. It's like the really
okay.
deep widow's peak, of metallic hair. He looks at you and says, so you've been investigating something along the lines of missing humans in search for someone named the Creator.
Yes.
We too have been searching for him for some time. He brought the Cerberus units and myself online and put us to task. The Cerberus units are combats units with enhancements done to the brain section, so they are effective in combat and good at tactical decision making. We have been avoiding most contact with the open world, but the question remains, who is the person that we're all after? And more importantly, what information have we found with these missing humans? I take it you have the file and the disk on you.
Who had the disc?
I do.
Okay.
By your leave, if I may, I would like to review the information that you have.
Of course.
Thank you.
Hand it over.
Provided, of course, that you share any information you have.
Cap, we've lost audio.
Yeah.
Hello?
There
There
you
we
are.
There it is.
He places the disc into a reader that displays it on a heads-up display. And again, all of the files are labeled out in any type of file explorer format. Hang on just one second. Sorry. All right. And goes through them carefully, meticulously, scanning them, focusing on certain parts, looking at different things, and like zooming in. Despite the advanced technology, the ability to enhance is still limited by
I
what
mean,
you
you
see.
can't just make pixels
You
out
can't
of
just
nothing.
make exactly. So, but you do see that he does like look at certain areas. More importantly, any of them that seem to be held in like the same place or the same type of thing, he kind of focuses in on certain things. The process takes a matter of maybe a minute or so to go through all the data that's there. He quickly moving things around. He has them organized by it seems chaotic, but at the same time, it's all organized quite well. He turns and says, so we have a question. A question that should trigger all of us. It's not as who is this person that we're all pursuing. What have we stumbled upon? What have we found? The Cerberus units all hold their hand up at the same time.
me, pick me.
Not yet.
Hmm?
They all just kind of lower their hands.
Hmm?
What is this? What is this? And he motions to the stuff behind him. What does this say to us? What is it? What is this? Tell me.
Someone is trying to make the humans more like us?
Possibly.
Some people doing incredibly unethical and bullshit stuff to humans, which didn't ultimately do anything to us, and frankly, we should just leave them alone.
Definitely. I think. Yes. Definitely unethical. What about the converse? What if we were trying to make robots more like humans?
Ew.
I agree.
Well,
Sorry, V.
I didn't expect that.
I agree.
Why is this new to you?
It wasn't
Happens
Cap
all
this
the
time. It wasn't Cap this time.
Fair.
Sorry.
We are seeing Jason in his true form. It only took us 3 different campaigns to finally see it.
What?
This isn't even his final form.
That would surprise me. He's friends with you.
I'm not sure how I should take that, but okay.
like, thanks.
Thanks.
As a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Why would it be insinuated as anything else?
I don't know.
Who the fuck do you think I am? Don't answer that question.
Okay.
That was a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Anyway. Adela is going to gently put her hand up.
Yes. What is your thoughts?
These cybernetic enhancements aren't for the humans, and they have a problem for us. There's no gap between a synapse firing when it comes from a human as opposed to when it comes from a robot. Because they have to actually reach the decision. It doesn't matter how fast we are, there is always a gap. There is no gap for humans. They just act.
That's not necessarily a good thing, though.
Well,
No,
true.
but that
Nor
with
is it
those
always
kind of
necessarily
enhancements,
true.
but with those kind of enhancements, would make them more dangerous than us. Which would also show some very interesting side effects in a fighting ring.
Or, here's another concept. Susceptibilities. But maybe it's a philosophical one. Maybe in some search for a divine essence that joins robot and man into one. I don't know. I'm not philosophical, but
Well, you're
There's still-
definitely trying. Points for that.
the idea that there might be some ascension, but my thought is more susceptibility. You have a world of robots, all connected in some way, not maybe all the time, but can be easily. What could you do to a world full of robots that you couldn't do to necessarily a human, or even better yet, a convergence of both?
Fry them electromagnetically, upload all of their mental porn to the internet.
Is
Yeah,
he
that's
all
all I
right?
got.
No,
Is he all right?
he is not.
Mm-mm.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the vote of confidence.
He concerns me.
Yes, well.
Anyways, yes, something along those lines. Fry them. My thought is this. These were being done not so that we can make a better human, because let's face it, not even the humans know how the humans fully work, why all the bits go in the way they do. The doctors for eons have said, I've pulled you open and I've taken bits out. Not all the bits fit back in the way they go. Robots are, by contrast, very clean, very neat. All the parts have a place to go. If you could combine those two worlds, removing the susceptibilities that affect robots, but adding in the essence of humans, which are very durable. I mean, look how long they survived. They're still survived to this day. They adapt far better than we can. You have to have firmware. They just have to learn.
Well, they adapt to the unexpected better.
This
If
is
we
true.
have time to plan for something,
Then we
we
go
can
back-
adapt much quicker.
Then we go back to what the beautiful Robo Lady said. They fire their synapses faster. We process. They react.
Intuition. They may be trying to give us intuition.
Possibly. So then that leads us to the next question. Why is this creator so important? That he is not only sought after by your small band, but ours as well.
What put you on his trail?
I assume that it's going to be a story much like yours. We awoke in a room, not much in the way of a memory. He gave us a, and we set to it. I'm going to assume that sounds very familiar.
Somewhat.
What was your task?
Our task was actually completed. was to find a little robot named Tully.
Aw. Yeah, he was cool.
Why did we get the difficult one? And then she
can't-
kind of cracks a smile just so that she's joking.
I couldn't fathom. I will assume it's because that although as abrasive as some of you, not hiding the glance towards Romeo
Thanks.
may be.
I am also glancing at Romeo.
Let's be fair, everybody's looking at Romeo.
As abrasive as it
I'm
just,
just so
there's
pretty.
just this collective, as some people may be.
Excuse me?
You are apparently an effective group. I don't know what would possess someone, what algorithm they may have ran that said this is the combination that would succeed. I don't know how many times it was done before us. I can tell you that as far as I know, you're the only one that's been after us so far. Like, as in not after us as in like pursuing us, but after us as in the next group to be tasked with a job.
How long has it been since he woke you up?
Cerberus, 15. 15 steps forward and very curtly says, 3 years, 14 days, and 20 hours.
And you haven't managed to find the creator.
That wasn't their task.
We've been setting about collecting information. Let me show you what else we found. He then proceeds to go over to a metal box that he opens up. And it's one of those that's like the fireproof metal boxes, you know? And inside of it, sitting nicely in a foam material, is just like 2 rows of those same data disks that you had. He says, this is more information that we've collected. We've been keeping an eye on particular robots of interest, let's say. Pardon being one of them. And there are others. This information was collected carefully over time through those avenues. The Cerberus unit hasn't been used in a very long time. Keeping him out of sight was very important. Off topic for a second, Jason, right where your headphone is positioned, there's like a toy on one side of you that makes it look like you have this like sat antenna on your on your head. It's just like
I think it's on
this,
my Mjolnir.
it's awesome. It's just like this big sat antenna on your headphones. It's like, dude got himself some serious headphones. All right. What questions might you have for me? And by proxy, the Cerberus units, if you have anything for them. They all kind of look at him for a second. No offense.
How many years did the Cerberus units miss?
Almost in unison, they kind of say 200 years.
That matches up to us, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And he reports the same
Wow.
for himself.
Did he give us his name?
He did.
I asked him his name.
Crown. Krown. I have taken the title of doctor.
Am I familiar with a crown yet?
You think this is kind of like your unit isn't called Zachary, but that's your particular identification. You think this is more his identification.
No.
A little pretentious. He calls himself Dr. Crown, but yeah, that's it.
It's a great name for like a cool robot doctor. Not a great name if you're a dentist.
I think it would be a perfect name if you're a dentist.
Actually, I feel like it would be like a Mega Man dentist.
Yeah, I try to
When
stay
you're
away
named
from.
for what you do.
I try to stay away from too many Mega Man jokes, because there are just so many to make. It's too easy. That's not even low-hanging fruit. That's just picking ripened fruit off of the ground and just putting it in the basket. So yes, so it's 200 years for all of them. Dr. Crown, what other questions might you have for him?
Can we look through the information you have?
Feel free.
When was the last time you were in touch or in contact with the Greater?
Let's see. We found Tully, returned him to where we were told to do so. Shortly thereafter, so I would say it's been about 3 years.
And your only task with him was to find Tully?
Apparently, that was it.
How have you maintained such a nice facility in that time?
Working things in our favor, let's just say. Like a mechanical version of the shell game, using my 3 very capable companions. And they like bow one right after the other and then stand up. So it looks like this little wave as they do it. Pretty much. They are very resourceful.
While that questioning is going on, I'm slowly working through the 2 rows of data disks.
It's more of the same. The dates are all over the place. It's, you see humans being drug in. You hear a nondescript voice for some of the files. Some of them do not have audio, but some of them do. And they tell you an experiment number and then whether it's successful, what they're doing. Integration of leg and arm, leg and arm pieces, things like that. They measure the different, like the metrics of the human subject. So like weight, age, size, male or female, things like that.
Oh, the basiques.
Mm-hmm.
Are the rest of us watching this with her, or is it just her?
I assume that she put them up on the like the heads-up display.
Okay.
So that anybody who wants to watch them or look at them can.
Okay. Romeo watched them for a few minutes and then just like, can he go stand outside? Or like, is it a safe house in terms of like, no one can get us while we're in here, but if anyone walks outside, we're fucked?
You're not sure.
Gotcha.
If you would like to request exit, or if you want to feign interest in leaving the room, I'm sure that one of these Cerberus units may respond properly to that.
Yeah, I don't think Romeo actually wants to make a big deal of it, so he's just gonna go stand somewhere where he can't see the screen, or kind of...
He's just gonna power down.
Yeah, there you go.
In the corner. Just...
That's me in the corner. Losing my reboot. I don't know. It's fine. We're fine. It's fine. We're all fine.
I don't think Romeo's fine.
I don't think Romeo's fine at all. To be fair, Romeo's not doing well.
This is like his one thing. The one thing.
Thank you, Finger 11. All right, so no music fans. Anyways, yeah, you pour over the data and it's nothing seems to be like a repeat of anything else, and you get the idea from where these are taken at that some of them may be the same surgeries at different angles, but a lot of them are at different locations. The name of that one particular hardware company, again, because it's so easy to get a hold of, does seem to come up in regards to the robotic pieces that are being placed on the humans.
Do we ever see another company?
Occasionally, but the name doesn't spark anything, and it's so sparse and rare that it's like you get the idea that the ones that used a different company were the older, like the first pass through. As they get more contemporary or newer to this date, the names from the other companies have all been phased out, and it's now just this one company that you see them all through.
I make a note of all the company names so we can check later and see if that might be companies that got bought out by this later company.
Okay. Any other data specific that you're looking for? Anyone?
No, I guess I was looking through it to see if anything caught my attention.
Sure. One of these days, I'm going to do a lighthearted game. Or
No, you're not.
just gonna be.
You'll run
may.
to and it'll be
A
something
nice
dark and
wholesome game.
I'll just
Where's
run
the
Curse.
drama in that?
I'll just run Curse of Strahd again on Wednesday nights.
Yay!
Tell me how you really feel.
I missed that.
Everybody's
No, I
like
love
Curse
all
of
the
Strahd.
games.
I've never had Curse of Strahd before in my life.
It's very
Actually-
dark and
You will
sad.
soon.
Everything is dark and sad all the time.
Time
you will
to play
soon,
like
because
I
that's
mean,
gonna
it-
be our new Thursday night game.
It does take place in the demiplane of dread, so I'm just saying.
It's
I'm
pretty
just-
bad.
I'm gonna play the happiest character in the world.
You
I tried that.
absolutely
I
should.
tried that,
luck.
and I ended up murdering a man and having to watch his grieving widow.
Let's just say that Cap's an evil bastard.
Yeah. That's also the campaign in which my rogue falls in love with the wizard and then stabs him.
And then the
That's the
wizard
thing that
lights
happened.
everyone on fire multiple times.
Constantly. Because
like Monday
one
night.
party member said yes one time.
No, the fireballing Quintrell started long before he was given permission to do it one time. There was coercion that says, you know what? He can soak it. Just throw it out there.
It's fine. He's our
And then I
tank.
volunteered once, and then it kept happening after that. I don't know how.
Area of effect spells. I don't know what makes them think you had evasion or some other thing to get around it, but you didn't.
They overestimated my power.
I think that's
just
because you
confused me
had
with
the ability to
Aether.
like heal yourself on your turn, like spending your abilities to do so. So they were like, "Oh yeah, he can do this," but it's like that's a
And
limited
Quintrell-
resource.
And Quintrell is unflappable, so they never realized all the times he was down to single-digit hit points and single-digit psi points.
And he's like, "Whatever, let's do this."
Let's go, bitches.
It's not my time to die.
Or it is. Eh.
Yeah, where it is, either way. Whatever.
That's Quintrell. Da 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 da. All right, so back to robots who are cold and motionless and not apparently. All right.
Woo!
Other information that you were looking for in particular?
Perhaps the name of the doctors.
Any of that has not been uncoded. It's redacted, and the encryption key that redacts that information you don't have or hasn't been discovered yet.
Can I try some of the old ones that I would have used? Because I'm a UN negotiator bot.
You can certainly try. It will be a brains test or a tech brains test. Yeah, I can talk.
Are there any human doctors involved in these experiments?
That is a good question. In the what seems to be the earlier surgeries, There were a few doctors that were human involved in this.
That's a little fucked up.
Time-wise, where would that be?
The best estimation is anywhere between, let's see, they started these before you guys went offline. So I would say anywhere around the range of 250 to 150, so about a 100-year gap. Just around the time, just before or right after Exodus. So.
In that case, Zachary is literally looking for any humans he recognizes.
Cool.
So-
Total brains.
What is it?
Brains.
Okay, and it's brains times firmware.
Plus any requisite upgrades.
Would you count the diplomat's kit?
I'll give it to you this time around. Yeah.
Cool. That makes me an 11.
Okay.
3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11.
Awesome. You run through everything that you have. None of the codes that you had access to seem to work on the encryption that's on this.
Zachary,
Yes,
you used to work in R&D, right?
correct.
Which means that you would have redacted information that you wanted to keep secret.
Only on occasions, but yes, occasionally.
Can you run your redaction codes through these, please?
Oh, certainly.
All right. And your brains plus your splicing tool.
All right, so brains times somewhere is
I
15.
think yours is like a 17, or is it a 19 with the splicing kit?
Let's see, it's 15 baseline stat, plus 2 for being maintenance.
Okay.
That's 17 plus 2 for the
Splicing
splicing
kit.
kit.
So 19 total.
Yeah.
You are able to uncover the data.
No, excellent.
Not for all of it, but for some of it you are able to redact. There are a total of 4 names that you see that crop up. None of them are the human names. They all seem to be the robotic names. The first one is... Sorry. Bad.
I feel like Kat wasn't expecting this. Maybe just a little bit.
The first one is known as Tamlin, Tamlin, or actually it's T4ML1N, but Tamlin, Tamlin. The second one is labeled as Corker, and keep that one in mind, Zachary. And it's literally Corker, Corker. The third one is labeled as Tamlin 2.
The
I'm
number
gonna
2 or
re-Tamlin.
Tamlin, or as in Tamlin 2 or Tamlin also?
The number 2.
Okay.
Tamlin, the number 2.
Tamlin
As in
2,
like-
Electric
as in like-
Boogaloo.
Tamlin 2, your brain's reduced to 2. All right, and the last one is Farser, Farser, Farser.
Oh, that's a suspicious name.
You said FAR what?
SER, like farce, but with an R on the end of it. The one that strikes a chord with you is Corker, because you remember a R&D unit that was working with humans at the time to develop prosthetics that would be adaptable for human interaction. However, it was post amputation or post surgery, so it was not a "you're still alive, let's feed your neurons together." It was more like you had a synapse fire that would fit around a bootstrap, and then they could, make it function like that.
So it wasn't really attached. It was kind of
Kind of like the prosthetics that we have today.
okay.
So there are like nodes or neurodes that are on the outside. The armature fits to, and then they fire based off of compulsory thought or muscle. Actually, they work on muscle flex, but still same thing. Tamlin and Tamlin 2 you're not familiar with. Farser actually Romeo.
Yeah.
Farser is actually one that you would recognize.
Interesting. How so?
They were involved in the retrofit for a lot of your units, a lot of the bard units.
Okay.
So that's how that name comes across.
Interesting. Still trying to decide like how much of a connection Romeo has to kind of his original like creators and whatnot, because so much of him was changed by Gale when he was. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Sure. You are a special case because of the fact that your outfitting was done strictly by your, I guess would be called handler, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah, more or less.
So
I mean, I did most of like the reconfiguration, but he was the one who basically fixed all my weirdness and gave me morality and shit. Yeehaw.
This is fixed.
Hot fix gave Romeo morals and ethics.
And also a sassitude. All right, so that's the information that you uncover. Ghost. The Cerberus units, in the time that you guys were studying this information, doing over the redaction, have left and returned. One of them kind of like nudges you as he slides by carrying a box.
Okay.
Looking into the box, it doesn't mean much to you. However, there is something that is very familiar to you.
Okay.
It's a retrofit for the units that you are, that allows you to manipulate basically like a stun baton. It's a localized EMP burst that hits on contact and allows you to disable a robot or to shock a human down to submission. Basically, you got a big ass stun baton.
Nice. Cattle prod.
It's a good thing we're not giving that to Romeo.
I want it.
Oh
See,
no, that
cattle
wasn't
prod
Romeo.
first.
That was me.
No,
I don't
I
even
know.
think Ghost is gonna ask. He's just gonna reach in and grab it.
Just like
It's still a
Fine.
multiple
my
arms. That's
statement
fine now.
stands. As I'm really glad we're not giving that to Romeo because he'd cattle prod first and ask questions later.
You don't
Yeah.
think
See,
Ghost would?
There's only one in the box.
Ghost is
Otherwise, you
probably
look like some
more
kind of
with it.
weird, like healthy version of General Grievous as you're just walking around with 4 batons swinging them. Arrgh!
Romeo's a jerk, but he has standards.
And Ghost is just a jerk. So it's fine.
Cerberus 6 or 9 or 15, one of them pushes a kit into your hand, Zachary, and says, "This is for you and the boys and ladies." He says, "Upgrade," and he winks at you and wanders off to go hop up on one of the one of the tables and sits down. He's swinging his feet idly.
Poke through the box. Whatever we at.
It's one thing in there and one thing only. Firmware upgrade.
Oh. I'll be
Yes.
right back.
We are, yeah. Me first, just in case it goes off. As he dies, blinking out, his last words were, "Kill them all."
Well, you know,
Oh.
I run a scan to make sure there's no malware or anything like
Absolutely.
that in there.
Your splicer kit, total being 19, tells you that they are perfectly fine. They are legitimate. It's one of those questions of, may not want to ask where that file came from, but they are legitimate.
That's the real shit, boss.
So it's basically you can upgrade everyone, starting with yourself, of course,
Oh, yeah.
because that now gives you a 24. because it's 4 times firmware version 4, which would make it
Times my brain's a 5.
plus your maintenance bot's 22. You're not splicing into these guys, so you don't get that, but it's still a 22.
All right, assuming everything goes well with me putting mine in, I'll proceed to upgrade everybody else.
Excellent. So yes, it does go well with you.
Saving Romeo for
everybody-
last.
Yeah.
He just took more work last time.
He's still booted in the
Thanks.
corner.
Yep. Chilling out.
Yeah, so let's see here. Yes, upgrading yourself is no problem. Sorry. Notes. Notes are always important. Cool. Yes, the baseline upgrade required for this one would be a 20, so you have that. So you are good to install this on the rest of them. So everybody is now firmware version 4. Yay.
Hooray. We're upgraded. Grupted. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Stop, you're hurting all of us.
Good.
Clearly, Romeo's voice box is completely compatible with the upgrade.
Shut up.
Can we find the upgrade that turns it off? Anyways, you're all upgraded to firmware version 4. Is there any other questions that you had for him? Because this is the last chance I'm going to ask. Any other questions?
Why are they looking for the creator?
I suppose for the same reason you are.
He asked
Why
you to?
us? Okay, no, not for the same reason that you are, but we're now trying to figure out why us. You watch as
Fair
all
enough.
3 Cerberus units nod their head up and down.
Maybe you were the ones that were still functional.
Possibly so. More importantly, why do we think the humans left? I mean, not all of them. Of course, there are humans still walking around. But why do we think the humans left? Where are the humans? Matter of fact, where are we?
Good question.
We're in the city. Where is the city?
That's
Our
a very
assumption.
good question, actually. Where
Of
is
course.
the city?
Our assumptions, based off of the logical fact that the last place that any of us have any memory is where?
The creator's lab.
No, Earth. I mean,
Oh.
yes, the Creator's Lab, but Earth, right? But do
Mhm.
we have any data that would support that?
Gravity seems to be normal.
Sure. But that's one thing that can be manufactured. It only takes 9.8 meters per second of force downward on you to maintain the gravitational pull of Earth. So
The sun looks the same.
true. It does.
And I assume the moon, if we've been out at night, I assume we'd have seen the moon.
Yeah, you were out at night last night
The
because it was 10
moon.
p.m. So, I mean, all of that matches up. You're absolutely correct. I have no reason to doubt any of that.
Unless it's a projection.
So it's like what was that movie about the guy who lived in a TV show?
Out of
Max Headroom?
character, Truman. Lived in a
Oh
TV
no,
show.
that was
Max Headroom, you're right. That's it right there. I don't know. I wasn't much for television.
That
But-
wasn't what the reference she was going for, but that works.
So I don't think it's a projection. I think we're in a very real place. May even be Earth. I don't know. I just have questions that I haven't had all the answers to yet. We talk about an exodus as though we all knew it happened. But you and I and the Cerberus units, we've all been offline for how long?
What was it, 200 years or so?
So how do we know?
Well, we have to be on an Earth-like planet.
I concur.
There's humans, and they're
They're
surviving.
surviving. That is correct.
So there has to be a decent level of oxygen, as well as sustainable food, clean water, enough sunlight that they're not committing suicide at the drop of a hat.
Fragile things, aren't they?
Well,
Mental
I mean, we can't-
capacity is a interesting, fragile thing.
We can't exactly ignore the fact that it's entirely possible we've fabricated some kind of situation on another planet that could sustain human life without necessarily taking advantage of the planet's atmosphere. So I don't think we should necessarily count out any kind of planet that might be uninhabitable by humans. Just
We have
saying.
done that in the amount of time we're talking about, though.
200 years?
Seems about possible.
Yeah,
I
fair
mean,
enough.
if you consider the leaps and bounds that they've made in creating us,
Yes, but we've sort of slowed down and stagnated after that.
just because we stagnated on ourselves does not mean we stagnated on technology other than ourselves.
True, but we are also the result, or at least our precursors, our progenitors were the byproduct of the singularity, where artificial intelligence reached a point where it could replicate other artificial intelligence. So,
Where AI could fuck.
where AI could fuck. Well, true. Here's another question, though. Exodus. We all know what Exodus means. A better question, though. Where?
Where? Good question.
I feel like there should be more to that question than just where.
Where have all the humans, as the Cerberus who was affecting an accent would say, where have all the humans faffed off to? The Cerberus just kind of looks up. Like,
They had
Wow,
high
you
hopes for Alpha Centauri.
really going down on King Henry there, my man.
phrasing?
No, I meant what I said. That was intentional.
Boy, I know what I said.
Don't you correct me.
Stop. What you heard was bring me a lot of bacon. I want to make sure you understand what I actually said was bring me all of the bacon.
I know what I'm about, son.
I know what I'm about, son. This is a meal for two people.
Did I stutter?
I have a permit right here. This just says I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
I can do what I want. Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson. That's right. So I don't have any leads at the moment on where the creator may. I can tell you what information that I have and try to set you on the next path. You have some names to track down now. I didn't have that before. But keep into consideration, where have they all gone? They left? But did they? Huh. What do I know? I'm an R&D. To that effect, Romeo,
Yes.
are you happy with how your gun is operating?
I mean, it's doing okay. I just cleaned the barrel and it does what it's supposed to, so yes.
No. Do you want it to continue to fire the high-powered propellant or flame retardant material that it's shooting, or would you rather outfit it with something else?
No, I'd like to keep the flame retardant material. I'm not a combat bot.
Anymore?
I'm not, full stop. We don't need to make a big deal about
He
it.
pats you on the shoulder as he walks by. Ghost! I see you found the baton that Cerberus fetched out for you.
Mhm.
Ring! Yeah,
It's
good
mine
job.
now.
Good job.
Yeah, this is mine now.
It belongs to me.
And he reaches into the box and comes out with a couple of more items. And he hands one to Adeline. Sorry. And one to Zachary. One to Adela and one to Zachary. My brain just went. What are names? Even?
You're good.
Who,
You're getting
Um,
who are
there. No
they?
sweat.
handheld objects. They are enough to stop a robot, to give a human pursuer any further thought of pursuing and continuing that course. It fires a projectile charge. There are currently 20 shots in each of them, so please keep track. They will stop any robot for a short period of time. After the game, I'll go over this, or at the end of this, I'll go over the statistics for what you guys have and give you the updates on those. But pretty much you have basically pistols with like a small burst EMP
Localized
charge.
EMPs.
Yeah, localized EMP charge that will also act as a little bit of a stun to humans. It gives a little bit of a as they tax into them. So basically like a taser.
Taser gun. I love it.
EM pistols.
Yep. EM pistol.
But I'm
You know that's how the branding would be.
Yeah. EMP pistol. 9,000. 9,000.
I like that. I'm adding that.
Just adding the 9,000 to it. All right. If you remember anything about the doctors that you worked with, or that you had information on,
Mm-hmm.
you and I both know that they're not going to be in this circle. You're going to have to head further in. It's only going to get more dangerous from here as well.
Of course, because we're hunting down a human that may be being held by some sort of syndicate, and we have no way to find him, and all we have is questions. And because asking questions has always been a safe bet for robots in the past.
You have the crux of it, yes.
We keep saying the creator is human, but there were rumors of him before I went offline. And that was 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think the record for humans is like 110, 120, somewhere around there.
Yeah, they don't live very long. They're a little squishy.
What if he was the first cyborg?
Would cybernetics necessarily extend a life by that much?
What if it's a title?
Yeah, like Doomfist.
Who?
Don't worry about it. Very old. You wouldn't get it. Fucking kids today.
You just
Romeo,
made me throw my glasses.
I don't think you're that much older than I am.
Oh, I'm much, much older than you are, Miss Adela. Don't you worry about that.
Cal 11 hate you.
Nah. Nah.
The as you are, you want to recharge here? Would you like to press on? It's still kind of late in the evening. I mean, it's not that robots ever sleep, but still, there's some downtime for
Probably
recharge.
should recharge before we head into another level of the city.
That will also give the hit squad that was after us time to disperse, sweep their buddy up.
Yeah.
Collect his pieces. Don't forget my arms are over there.
I got those arms specially made.
Sir, don't take this the wrong way, but you look like a wreck.
Just the arms
Alright.
off in the distance.
All right, you recharge there for the night, and you are led out the next morning through a different doorway. Fits to the wall, but you can see the seam opens, and you are led out. All three of the units, as they move to the city street, you can see now why it was so hard to see them. While they look like really nicely designed, you can tell that the way that they're designed, like the angles of their uniforms and suits that they wear,
They fancy.
refract light.
Nice.
And as they step into the sunlight, they don't disappear so much as they become harder to see. Your tracking doesn't work the same as humans, so they're actually a little harder to see.
Yeah.
They move ahead of you, and they, as they move forward, you actually see only two of them. The third one walks behind each one of you, gives you a gentle pat on the shoulder. You feel a slight, as it happens, this little slight spark, realizing that they've also put another one of those patches on each of you. There. That way we can keep communications no matter where you're at across the city.
All right. Love me a voice inside my head, really. Nothing better.
More
Because you
long,
need another one.
Ha 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 ha.
more so that you can reach us, than so that we can reach you.
Well, that's a relief.
So, good luck.
Thanks. We'll probably need it. All right, gang. Let's roll out, as they say. I don't know if that's what they say. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So, where to from here?
All right.
Well,
Which
we
name
can
do we want
try.
to check on first?
Well, we can try an inner repository. I'm sure that it'd have more information than the one that was here. The further you go in, the more information is available. Of course, we could always try and get in to the council.
Don't know that that'd be a very safe thing to do.
I didn't say it was going to be safe.
You know, this creator's been around a while. We could always just go make a new life for ourselves somewhere else.
I wouldn't say that too loudly around Romeo. He might just run.
Thanks.
We could always just go make a life for ourselves somewhere else.
God damn it.
Takes Romeo's face in his hands. We could always go make a life for ourselves somewhere else.
I already want to go home. I don't want to be here. But quite frankly, there's some asshole out there doing exactly the thing that was most abhorrent to everything I care about. So quite frankly, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go find this asshole, beat his ass into the ground, morally, and then go home.
mean, you had me at beat his ass, but that's all I'm here
Ghost,
for.
I know that you're
Morally. We're going to do it morally.
Well, let's be honest, Ghost.
Right.
When Romeo says we're going to beat somebody's ass, he means we're going to find him and you're going to do the beating.
Yeah, more or less. Morally, remember, Ghost.
Ghost, I know that you're not really designed for much in the way of decision. What are your
You cut out what?
What are your thoughts?
Of what we should do?
Yes. She
Hmm.
understands that you're not like designed for decision making, but she still wants to know what your thoughts are. She's a negotiator, but she's designed to require information from everybody.
I am not usually asked these questions, so
I don't make decisions, I just carry them out.
actually, big mood. Yeah. Do you want me to hit something? I'll go hit something.
I'm good at that.
You need me to go beat up that robot and take his arm? Listen, I've got his arm in 3 seconds. It's fine.
I need that guy's arm.
Ghost would be perfect for Rocket Raccoon.
So many arms, so little time.
I think perhaps you should stash that baton.
My ghost.
I need to call attention to ourselves.
I'll put it under the tarp.
And I
DM
think
pistols.
perhaps-
Do we have holsters for those?
Just put them on Ghost. Click.
I'll say that you have some way of carrying them with you.
Adela's just gonna stick that right down the back of her skirt.
Just tuck it in the waistband.
With the safety on.
No,
no
you're gonna
point in shooting
shoot
your
your
butt plate
ass.
off.
And then she kind of looks at like how everybody's dressed, and then I think the next order of business might be some better dressed clothing.
Zachary looks fine.
What's wrong with my tarp?
I just
Oh,
had
I
this
can think
image.
of at least 3 things wrong with it, and it's all gonna get us caught as we try to move further into
Forgetting to put the
Hey,
safety on.
my outfit is perfect for my alias. I'm here to teach about fire safety. I'm wearing a standard fire jacket. I think I'm good.
You're wearing a standard fire jacket with
From
a
200 years ago.
Della
old
putting
fire.
the gun. Oh,
And
this
then-
is jerk.
okay.
Falls over.
I just had the image of Adela sticking the gun down her waistband, all of a sudden just jerking to a stomp and falling over.
Are you
Had to put the
okay?
safety on? Yes.
I just want to say Romeo does have a holster. I drew it in his original design.
Just the image of all of a sudden just trying to be cool, sticking the gun in your waistband and forgetting to put the safety on. So the next thing you know, it just shoots you in the metal and just, just having your robot fall over. It just tickled the shit out of me for some reason. All right, so with that being said, Thug Zapper. I like the name of that, Thug Zapper.
So she's going to suggest that they go find suitable clothing.
Makeover.
I don't know that
Because
you can attached to
we
my
can't-
chair.
montage.
We can't have the bodyguard walking around in a tarp.
I'm a
Yes,
body.
we can.
No, we can't.
I mean, like we
And
could.
Not sure how dirty or old Zachary's clothes are, but Adela knows that she needs new clothes.
You need a
And
new
she would
set of
assume-
trousers and a lab coat, buddy.
She would assume that his is not in any better condition than hers.
Probably not.
No, they're
You
only
guys
200
have been
years
kinda-
old.
You guys have been kind of rummaging around the lower city before coming up here, so
And she's going to suggest a suit for Zachary anyway.
It would suit him better.
Yeah, well, you should be wearing a suit too, Romeo.
No, 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 no.
We're representatives of our company. We shouldn't be
like him.
be dressed awfully.
He's
You
looking
will
like
put
a
me in a suit the day I am finally decommissioned and they have a shit funeral for me.
Okay.
That is when you will get me in a suit.
Can we compromise?
What's the
You don't-
compromise? I die
don't have
early?
You don't have to wear the suit,
Just pull
but
the plug.
jeans and a nice dress shirt.
Why did Rovio just become a sudden like this redneck robot? I could just see him in a suit, but he's got like a pair of work boots on that aren't laced up. He's just clodding around in them.
Alright, I will do the jeans. I will do the dress shirt. I get a jacket. That's like a fucking like a leather jacket.
leather
That's
jacket?
the compromise. Yes.
I'm okay with this. Just something other than your old fireman's uniform.
Okay, and it needs to be fire retardant. I'm not wearing it. I am not wearing any flammable clothing.
Of course. So we're just gonna dress you in
Are you gonna
wool.
wear inflammable clothing?
Actually, wool is actually fire retardant. Believe it or not, it'll put itself out.
Nice.
I mean, how
Well,
many sheep
Shit,
have you
I
ever seen
learned in
caught fire?
textiles.
That's true.
How many sheep have you
I've
ever seen
tried.
that spontaneously combust?
The shit I learned in textiles.
Stop counting, Jason.
Okay, so I guess we're looking for a clothing store
All right.
outfit.
Not on this particular section of the ring, but you can probably find one if you either head to one of the other locations.
We arrive for the binary guy.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do. She's just gonna lead them on a shopping trip.
You have noticed that security around the terminus has slightly increased.
Yeah, wonder why. Weird coincidence. Definitely not related to us.
Sure, it's not. You can see that there are those who are checking certain robots as they cross through areas. You arrive in the line. What are you going to do? You're going to continue on and hope you can get past them somehow? Or are you going to create a scene? You're going to jump the rail and jump on the nearest train? What are you doing?
No, we're gonna continue on in the line. I'm a diplomacy bot.
Everybody loves a queue. All right,
With
so
a
you...
sigh, Romeo takes off his fire jacket and like just kind of throws it to the side because he'll look suspicious.
What
man.
ring was their company's in?
Did I actually tell you?
Nope.
That's why we have notes. You were with two different companies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 3 different.
That's
Three
right.
different companies.
You and Ghost were together with one. Hold on.
Well, Ghost was functioning bodyguard for all 3 as we ventured down.
I'm the tarp man.
Your company has a but the nearest like international office would be Ring D as in Delta.
Because we're Delta Airlines and life is a fucking nightmare.
Jason, Zachary's false company is in Ring G. And Romeo is actually the most impressive one.
Ooh, for once in my life.
In the government district on Ring M.
All right. Fancy.
Because fire safety is part of the government concern.
And
They're
government.
worried
Ghost.
about everyone dying from fires. I am also
Uh,
worried about that. That's a frequent fear of mine.
Ghost is also Ring M, but with a privatized security company. So we're finding clothes. All right, as you close in on the end of the queue, you can see the security bot is there.
Mhm.
He has a baton, much like the one that Ghost is secured under his tarp.
Okay.
As he walks up, he stops and looks, and who is the first in front? All right.
It's gonna be Adela.
He stops and looks at you. Stand down for scan.
What's his firmware?
He is 3. Most of them in this area are 3 with a few 4s.
Okay.
Stand down for scan.
Of course.
He scans top, bottom. He says to the person who's next in line, stand down for scan. Who would that be? Ghost, Zachary, or Romeo?
I feel like Ghost
Uh,
would be coming up the
Okay.
end.
Okay, then
Okay.
Romeo will be second.
All right.
Adela's gonna wait.
Okay. Scans you. Moves over. Stand down for scanning. Who's next?
Probably me.
Zachary. Scans you up and down. And then Ghost. He looks at all 4 of you and says, feel free to move along.
Fantastic.
Thank you for your service. And then she's going to lead them off when we're going shopping.
All right. Popping onto the terminus, you are heading into a different numbered platform within the B ring, or are you heading to?
Yeah. Well, where would the closest clothing shop be?
Probably be in like one of the earlier numbered rings, like B1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
So,
Guess we'll head for B1 to start.
all right. Heading into B1, you can see that there are a lot of retrograde shops, meaning that they have a lot of literally like older stuff. Like, hey, it's nostalgic, cool. A lot of aesthetics and things like that. You can see that there are temp chassis that people can put on for costumary effect and things like that.
But
Everybody
no
get old
clothing.
fashioned clothes. We're all running around in zoot suits.
It's pretty much like it's mostly old fashioned clothes. There's nothing that's more modern. This seems like
Okay.
it's a lot of retro tech and gear and things like that. Number 2 has what would be the equivalent of home accoutrement or housing materials and things like that. Nothing in the way of clothes. Number 3 has a mix of clothes and what's even more important there is the human wares. You can see clothes for humans as well as robots. You can see all sorts of manner and things. And so taking the time, you find a shop that has something appropriate for each of you. And can we take about a 10-minute break? That's okay.
Sure,
All right.
yeah.
If everybody who's there, please stick around with us. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break and then we'll be back and we're going to finish up. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate having you here. And we'll be back in about, like I said, about 10 minutes. Thank you so much.